You're alive.
You're alive. We're alive. We're live. So, in the form of a question today, then, isn't it? We'll put these glasses on. I think they can get all right.
How's it really improved?
Generations of racism in the UK.
No. Let's just be clear on that one. No.
I think some things have changed.
Yeah.
I think some things have changed, whether or not they've
It's not that
changed.
they've changed that, it's now the best thing ever, but it's still different.
Some things, yeah.
Yeah.
And whether or not you would say that they've changed for the better,
Yeah.
I think maybe that one is questionable.
Yeah.
You know, but I would say yes, some things have changed. So let's see. Of course. So let's get into it then. I think we could probably make this into at least 2 parts. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been doing a bit of research, which I'm not going to talk about now. But I've been doing a bit of research about race riots in the UK, or just, the riots in the 20th century. How many of those have been related to race, etc. So maybe we can have a look at that on a separate. Because I think it does have something to say about where we're at now. But now, if we talk about generations of racism, well, so for us in this family, then let's say, there's been your grandfather, my dad, who came to the UK in the 1950s. And I'm going to say a little bit maybe about each thing, because I think that's why we can see whether things have moved that much or not. He came in the 1950s, late 50s. My eldest sister, I spoke to her recently, she came to the UK 60 years ago. I'll be around 1960. And she gave me a few stories about what she thought it was like and so forth. She was 13 years old when she came here, teenager. Then I came along at the end of the 60s. And I've got my own story about racism. You came in the 80s. And you, 90s. And you see, and if we in the 2000s, and yeah. So you see, and we can talk something generationally for all of us, and the question then is, hi Roy.
Hello, Roy.
The question then is, how much has it really changed? Since my dad came in the late 50s, my older sister came in 1960, roughly. I was born at the end of the 60s. My daughter 80s, my daughter 90s, my granddaughter 2000s. And let's have a look and see if things have really gotten that much better that we could say, yeah, this is, all this time later, we feel like we're part of this country. We feel like the country accepts us, that we're welcome, that we are, we're home. Because I can tell you, for me, me as the one from the late 60s, the answer is no. Do I feel welcome in the UK? No. Do I feel that I'm at home in the UK? No. Do I feel that I'm accepted in the UK? No. If I ask her from the 80s the same question, the answer is no. If I ask her from the 90s, the same question? The answer is no. My granddaughter isn't here, but I can speak to her, and her mum is here. And if we ask her the same question, and she's born in the 2007, she's going to say the same thing. And we're partly talking about this today because of her, actually, because of what she's still experiencing. She's told us a few things which will eventually, you know, expose some of them to people today. What's your phone? And you know, the first thing that I said when she sort of mentioned some of those things, the first thing that I said was, "My God, when is it going to change?" You know, said I went to school here in the UK and I experienced pure foolishness from teachers in school. She went to school, she experienced the same foolishness. She went to school, she experienced the same foolishness. My granddaughter is now in school, many, many years later, experiencing the same foolishness. You see, and the place where they probably try to break us the most is in school. You know, that's the system.
That's why they don't like anybody that's not. They don't like anybody that challenges them. Yeah. Or has something different to say. Yeah.
Now I don't know, you know, today how many people will stay with us on this one and who may or may not comment, but that's cool. I believe that it's a very pertinent topic because it's the reality of where we are. You know, people, how would I put it? You know, I don't speak so diplomatically as some people do, and I don't make any apology for that, to be fair. But you know, you've got all this Black Lives Matter and all the other stuff that's going on, and you know, people who are now piping up, Christians and non-Christians, and suddenly have got a lot to say.
Yeah.
And that's fine to an extent, but they're not addressing reality in some of it, because even from the perspective, you know, if you for those who have looked on my Facebook page, I put a picture there, and I said, okay, yeah, we might be speaking from the same page, but we're not reading the same book. And this is exactly the issue, because what will happen is that some people will jump up, I'm speaking on the behalf of.
No.
How can you? How can you? Because if I can question at my nearly 52 years old, when is it going to stop? When are things going to be different? And I'm talking about an experience that my granddaughter is having in school at 13 years old. You've got to look at that a little deeper, because that should tell you things are not really have not really moved as much as what they would lead us to believe.
Exactly.
Because if all these years later, you know, there's practically 40 years difference, and you know, and if I go back, like I said, to my dad's time when he came to the UK in the 50s, I'll tell you stories. Her grandfather from her mother's side told me many stories. You know, and when you look at those things, you have to wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's white, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So there you are.
He was black.
And you see, that's it.
Right.
And I asked my dad some years ago. I said, "Oh, Dad, would you have married a white woman?" Huh? Me? No, sir. No. I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, why? He said, no. The woman is not the problem. And I said, yeah, I get it. I said, no, the woman wouldn't be the problem, because if the woman is a woman, the woman is a woman. I said, but now you have to start beating up the family. Yeah. You know, brothers
on the road.
Strangers on the road. Which, okay, that one, people are not as blatant. But
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons maybe why they're not so blatant about that now is because they've got CCTV. You see, and that's why I'm saying I'm going to systematically talk my way through it, because I do have a point to prove. And it's not so much what people actually are trying to get us to believe, because I think a lot of people want us to believe that, yes, we've made a serious amount of progress, and we're really on top of this. And you need to understand how much on top of it we are. But I'm not sure that that's the case. You know, I'm really not sure that that's the case. And this is the thing, because, you know, okay, some of the stories that my dad told me from the time, you know, when he came, yeah, I can understand. You know, he said he came in the early 50s. Teddy boys were around. Teddy boys, for people who don't really understand them, they're looking at them as, you know, something nice. Teddy boys were ruthless. They were wicked. You see? But at the end of the day, people who didn't know much about them, they wouldn't get it. So, oh, yeah, you know, they just dressed a certain way. They were smartly dressed, and that. No, they were pure racist. Very, very racist. They didn't want to see black people. They didn't want to see Indians, Pakistanis. Oh yeah, I'm coming to them later. Don't worry, because that's a new era, you know. But the Teddy boys were the ones like in the 50s, and they were there, you know, walking around, because in them days everybody had a switchblade. You see, in the 50s everybody had a flick knife. So, her grandfather. So now he was. This is not my father. It's her mother's father. He was a pub going guy, you know. So he said, well, because he said all them Teddy boys, they used to fight with chains, switchblade, you know, and axes and things like that. So this is 50s, because you see, when we get all this thing about knife crime and all of this these days. And then they also say, oh, you know, black people do black on black crime and blah, 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 you know, and all of this. And I'm like, I studied criminology, and I still look into criminology anyway, because I like the subject. And I think you guys are talking a load of rubbish, right? Because the whole thing about knife crime, the you know, so-called exacerbation of it in this day of, you know, is not really true. Everybody in the 50s had a flick knife, right? Or a pen knife. You know, my dad had several. Not just one, he had several. He had big ones, little ones, ratchet. They had them all. So now, anyway, you know, her granddad now, he said, well, he used to carry a flick knife. Because he said, now he'd go to some places, because maybe he kind of liked the white ladies, so he'd go to those places where they were, and he might be sometimes the only black man in that place. So they will start carrying on, you know, with their monkey noises, whoop, 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 whoop. You know, what are you doing inside here, and all of these things. And he said that they'll wait. You see? Now he told me something really funny. He said because sometimes he'd see he was outnumbered, he would act and pretend like he was drunk. You know, so then he would decide to leave. So they leave him alone now because they're waiting for him to go out the door. So when he'd go out the door, and he'd go, and there's no CCTV out there by those times. When they go out the door, he said he would just catch them one by one, the flip knife would come out, zoop, 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 like Zorro. You see? And then he would just leave. And the first time he told me that, I took it as a joke because of the way how he said it. You know? Because he said, I just take off my knife, zoop, 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 I'm gone. But, you know, the first time he said it, like I said, I did laugh. But then I looked a little deeper into it and I said, boy, it's actually like he's saying anyway, your life is on the line. Yeah. And if you look statistically, which is why I said I will maybe come back in a part 2 and talk about the riots that went on across the country at various times, and you'll see that there's a pattern. And these guys were actually beating people to death when they got the chance. And especially back in those days where there's no CCTV, they'll beat them to death and you've got no proof, there's no evidence. And of course, they're not snitching on each other. Yeah. So even if black people did say it was this one or that one that did it, you know, then they'll ask the white people. This is what I'm saying. Now, just give you an example. There was a Teddy boy riot in the 50s. And do you know what it was over? There was a white woman who had a black Jamaican husband. So they had an argument on the street. So everybody saw when they had this argument on the street, public argument, the black man shouting at the white woman shouting at the black man. They argued publicly on the street. So in the evening, I think it was the evening of the same day, or it might have been the next day, the Teddy boys beat the white woman with an iron bar. So that's their own white Teddy boys. They beat the white woman with an iron bar and then tried to blame it on the black man. So then they started rioting, saying it was the black man who beat up his wife. But the Teddy boys are the ones who did it with the iron bar. And they did it as a punishment because she's with a black man. That was the 50s. So, you've got to see. And, from those times there, all the kind of stories that my dad has told me and other older, family members who came to the UK at that time, even going for a job, they had the signs, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Okay, they don't have the signs anymore. See, because back then they were blatant, they would put the sign up. One cousin was telling me how when he was going for a job, and they've been told that they're looking for people to work, they've got vacancies. And he said he saw the foreman looking through the window. When he saw the black man coming, he's pointing, they're all walking together, but he's pointing at him, you black man, and telling him, go along, don't come. The others are still walking along and he's pointing at him, you, go back. Because he's making him know you can't get the job. I'm not employing a black man. And there's so many stories, of how back in those times at the beginning, they've gone through such things. And those ones who came, they were invited to come. Cool. They were invited to come. They didn't just come flying into the UK by chance. They were invited to come to work. And then when they came to work, they wanted to treat them like trash. I'm not even going to share all of the stories. I'm just giving you a snapshot of some of them of that time. But, my dad told me all these different things that happened, in his era, from the late 50s through the 60s. There was no appreciation. And even to the point where at that point in time, running you through the speaker. Okay. Where they couldn't, it was like, these are, and this is the 1950s and 60s. It was not that long ago. Black people were being treated like they're not humans, even by then. And okay, the adult story is a slightly different story, obviously, than children. My oldest sister, she came 60 years ago to the UK. She was 13 years old at the time when she came. And she came to school, went to school in the UK. So now you already know, if you've come from Jamaica at 13 years old, your accent is set.
Yeah.
Right? And she came from country as well. She didn't come from the city. So she came with a nice thick Jamaican accent, a heavy one. So that was the first issue. They used to act like everything she said, they don't have any clue what she's saying. Wow. So no matter how slow she'll speak, even if she's speaking to the teachers, they act like they don't know what she's saying. So they'll be like, oh, we don't want to ask her a question because we can't hear her, we can't understand her. So no, she's not speaking English. Which she was, of course. And then at 13 years old, she said she had to come, because initially she didn't go to school until all of that was, organized and sorted out. She was telling me how she nearly burnt down the house because she had never used, indoor heating before. So she didn't have any clue, and it's winter, and my dad's gone to work. She's left in the house on her own. I mean, you know, it was the 60s, so I don't know nobody was going to report it to social services. But she said like she tried to, you know, tried to organise the indoor heating. And we're talking probably, I don't know, maybe some type of paraffin heater or something. Because I grew up seeing loads of them in the house, so it must have been them. And she's nearly burnt down the house because she didn't really know how to use those type of things. So you imagine you come to a new country, you've got all of this adapting to go through, to learn how to use different things in a different way. You're freezing cold because obviously where they've come from, it's hot. And they've come here, it's not your climate, and then on top of it, the people themselves are cold. Right? But then they're telling you, no, it's not racism, we're just different and you're different. And they want to continue to make sure that you understand the differences. That, you know, it's different. And she said that she went through hell in school because they had this, especially at that time, and this is one of the contentions that I have, which these guys will speak their own experience in a minute, and you might find that what I'm saying then it does concur with what I'm saying. My eldest sister is telling me of 60 years ago. Okay, so that would be like 1960. And she's saying that at that time in school, when she was in school, they gave her absolute hell because they expected her to just, you know, shut up and sit there. And the teachers were not interested in her views. They were not interested in being challenged. This was not really about, you know, insubordination as such. Just, I guess, keep quiet. You know, and of course they might not necessarily say, you black person, you black whatever, shut up. So by then there were some teachers who would. But the expectation was just keep quiet. Just sit there and I think this is what, for me, throughout the years, has been the case. That they've been telling black people throughout the years, you just be quiet. You know, okay, you have to come to school, you have to be educated, but you just comply and do it our way. We don't care who you are or the difference is, you either try to be like us, which you know is not necessarily possible. Yeah. You know, and this was part of the issue because this was one of the things. Oh yeah, that's what my mum used to get called in the school. Exactly. All those things, you know, chocolate drop, golly wog, you name it, needs to be there. Cocoa Pops, everything. King Kong, Guy the Gorilla in his day, what in the 70s, that's my era. All those things. I used to get all of that in school. And you know, and so like I could see that now for my sister. And so you see, when my older sister had grown now and finished with school, and obviously got to a point where now I have to tell the honest truth, she had an actual hatred for white people. You know, because she told me two things, and some of this we were talking about not even so long ago. And she's now a Christian woman, she's saved, and she really has changed a lot. You know, she really has changed a lot, thank God for her, because you know, this is not about even the white people who she hated, that's their problem. But it's about her, and she now has peace. You know? And she didn't have that peace because of what she suffered as a teenager coming to a strange country. And, you know, imagine you've been taken out of your comfort zone. Okay, even though they might have been, you know, in poverty and so forth, and this was, you know, an opportunity to come to a place where they can get maybe more consistent type of education and improvement and this, that, and the other. There were so many other things that she suffered that she had to wonder whether it was even worth it. Yeah. You know, and then on top of that, she was at first it was just her and my dad alone, and she said she used to see how he suffered at the hands of white people, and that made her hate them even more. You see, and because he'd come home and he would, you know, and he was just scratching his head sometimes, you know, and she'd be asking him, Dad, what's wrong with you? And he's just like, just these people. You know, this country is hard. This country is hard. This country is hard. And that song almost never stopped. And I wonder even in 2020, how many black people would still be singing the same song, "This country is hard"? Even the ones who are born here, their parents were born here, even maybe their grandparents were born here, some of them, and they'll still be singing the same song, "This country is hard." And what do they mean? They mean it's hard for them as a black person. And why? Because of racism. Because people don't want to see you as the same. They don't want to see, and when I say the same, I don't mean the same as in we're just because we're different color anyway, but just we're human beings. That's it. So we have a right and an opportunity to live the same way you do. But no, that's never been the case. And they've always wanted you to feel like you are inferior. So they have made every possible road to make you walk on the inferior road. And this has been the issue. So I've seen now, growing up, got to an age now where I'm now, going to school and stuff. My eldest sister now, of course, by then is now out of school. She's now on to university training to be a nurse, and she hates white people. I watched her then, and I mean, she became real, radical. Joined the Pan-African Society and everything. Real serious black power woman. To the point where when she used to come home, because me, I was trying to, always I've tried to be very integrated from childhood. So, I'd have friends who would come, white friends from school and stuff, and my sister, when she was there, oh Lord, she'd start interrogating them. "You're his friend, are you? What do your parents think about that? What do your parents think about black people?" And she, oh man, she'd really go into it, and was quite abrasive, if you like, towards them, to the point of even telling me, "Oh, don't bring your friends, don't bring your friends, don't bring them. They're not your friends. They're not really your friends. They can't be your friends." Now, I don't necessarily share her view, but I do understand where that view came from because of the pain that she went through, because of the society issues around at that time. And this is what I'm saying, and I mean, I'm just sharing this sort of systematically up to a point, because that's when then I'll let them talk about their experience coming further on in, chronologically. But in my school time, I can remember some things. You must be joking. 7 years old, I was in London. This was in the summer. We've gone to a children's play scheme. So a children's play scheme, as far as I'm concerned, means children's play scheme. It doesn't matter who's there, whether you're black, white, orange, pink, or in between. Everybody is children. We're all playing together. But the problem that we had back then, this would have been now in the 70s, early 70s. So the problem by then was the National Front. They were hardcore by then, and lots of parents were National Front. So they'd be talking all the rubbish inside their house about, British nationalism, and black people are taking away their jobs, and black people are criminals, and they're mugging everybody. And especially because a lot of that was in London, was a big issue. And I used to spend a lot of time, in London. So I've gone to this summer play scheme, and this white boy comes up to me for no reason, because he could have just carried on doing what he's doing. "You black bastard, clear, blue," and spit straight in my face. So I was, I think I was 7 or 8 years old that time. So I didn't say anything to him. I just waited. I waited until he went and sat on the climbing frame. Not climbing frame, what do you call it? The swing. So I waited until when he swung the swing and was coming forward, and I kicked him straight in the face. And kicked him off the swing backwards. So, of course, he bashed his head on the floor. And all of a sudden, Now they've seen what happened.
Now they're suddenly, oh, what's going on?
When the little racist boy spat in my face and called me a black bastard, they didn't see and they didn't hear. But when I kicked him in his face and he fell off the climbing frame and he's screaming at the top of his voice so that, you know, you can hear him in Scotland, suddenly they've turned up. Oh, what's going on here then? What's going on here? No, and so I said, well, you can see. No, I didn't say nothing. You know, from the day I was born, I've had this big mouth. So, well, what's going on here? I told them. I said, he spat in my face, called me a black bastard, so I kicked him off the swing. Oh, why? What? Oh, that's not right. I said, yes, it is.
You should be coming in telling us.
You should have come.
Oh,
I said, look, I said, you were interested. I said, that's not the first thing that's happened here since we've been on this play scheme. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the upshot of it all was that I got kicked off the play scheme. And he didn't.
Oh, that's a surprise.
And this was in the 70s.
And there will still be people that will be like, oh, well, yeah, it's understandable because you keep the, you know what I mean? Them type of people.
But you see, at that age, you're navigating your way through life. You're trying to learn what's right and wrong. You're trying to learn the best way to deal with things and the worst way and all of this all at the same time. But what you've got to understand is that you've got pressures coming, at least by that age, I had pressures coming from all sides because in those days, the National Front was very strong. And they were very vocal and they were very, very upfront, not maybe in the way that some people would even understand because they're not so upfront now, which is why I asked the question, have things improved? Because maybe I might differ for them. They might say no. Angelica has already said no, they haven't. Yeah. But you see, I might disagree with that from the point of view of that what we went through. And there are other people who may watch this later who know because they were around in my era. What my dad has told me he went through, my elder sister in particular, and what I went through, they've not had to experience the same type of thing. So this is why I said, but then you see now, that doesn't necessarily mean that things are better. It's just that they have a different way of expressing and exhibiting the same attitude. Yeah. And I think maybe that's what it is that we're really saying. Yeah. Because in my day, it was more blatant. Yeah. National Front, the parents and the children were more, you know, racially abusive up front. Mm. So, for instance, like that example I gave you, I can give you many others. I don't know the age we were. We were quite still, you know, youngsters. On the street where we lived, there were blacks, there were whites, there were, you know, various European nationalities, Polish, Italian, Spanish. All the children would just play together like they do. So in one particular family, the English white mother used to tell her children, don't play with them. So all the time when she ever was around, she would try to stop her children from playing with the rest of us. Particularly like myself, I had a good friend, an Italian friend, we always were together. There was a Spanish girl at the bottom of the street. Often, sometimes we would be playing with her as well. Now, this English youth, often his mum would stop him. And so now, but him, of course, he wanted to play with us because, you know, children are children. Because, you know, racism is taught. It can also be in your blood, but you can ignore what's in your blood. Yeah. You know, it's taught, and you learn to be racist. So it's an indoctrination. Yeah. So before he was extremely indoctrinated, he would just play with us as normal. So now the mum comes out, move away from my door, blah 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 blah. So I just ignored her and carried on playing. So then she's mumbling under her breath about black shit. So I told her, I heard you. She said, I don't care. So I said, there's no problem. I said, because you will. I don't care. And my Italian friend, she took a bucket of water and she threw it over him. because she said we must move from her doorway. So she threw the bucket of water over my Italian friend, called me black shit, and we went. So we left. His mum wasn't home, so he had to go to my house. We had to get towels, dry him off. So my mum dried him off, gave me some of my clothes to put on, and then said, right, now we've dealt with you, we're going to see her. So my mum went now with a bucket of water. Right? She didn't wait. She didn't leave it. And in those days, like I said, there was no CCTV anyway. Yeah. My mum went and knocked on her door and said, here is the black shit. Bam, and gave her the bucket of water. Now, like I said, some people will be like, oh, I don't know if that was, you know, and I'm not here. My mum is not alive, so she can't defend herself, and you can't argue with her. So if she was right or wrong, it doesn't matter now, does it? But like I said, the pressures of life that we had at that time and the behaviors of these people will cause us to do some of these things. Yeah, definitely. You see? You know, same thing, we were at school. And we were in school, this was infant school by then, I would say, you know, whatever it's called, you know, the lower one. Yeah, infants. They had a policy. If children are fighting or kicking each other, they take away their shoes. So I've noticed now that, you know, many of the white kids, their shoes are not being taken away. But black ones, if they even lift their foot off the ground, they have no shoes. So me, I used to bring 3 pairs with me and hide them. So when they've taken 1 pair, I have another pair. And I will keep the hardest pair for last. I'll wear the softest ones first and keep the hardest ones for last. Now, I know, you know, some people are listening to this and they're probably thinking, oh, boy, this guy was just wrong. But, well, like I said, a lot of things that happen, you know, that you've gone through that brings you to certain. And I'm saying, and I was a child, for goodness sake, and you've not even got the support of parents. Yeah. And when I say parents, I'm talking about my own parents, but even the parents of the children, to tell their children stop this. But it's they themselves are encouraging it and they're part of it. I've got a lot more to say, but I want maybe Angelica speak about her experience first, because she came up obviously before Tamar. I see the difference because, you know, a lot of this in school. If we talk a lot about the school situation, there are so many stories that are similar that it's a joke, because they just year after year, generation after generation, are trying to squeeze black people down into submission. Yeah, that's what I personally feel. Yeah, and I really and I don't think it changed much. Tell them anyway.
It continues into the workplace as well.
Yeah.
The school wasn't even really that bad for me. It was going into the workplace and realizing that they want to still carry on their same foolishness in the workplace.
School was bad enough for you though, but it's just because I kept coming there.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's so.
You know.
Yeah. I feel like I'm coming into work. But yeah, there was little things all the time. That one manager, once they changed me over to that manager, that racist one, she was every week it was something. Yeah, everything was a problem. I can't joke, everybody else can joke. When I'm joking, it's rude. Even though, you know, only everybody else can use sarcasm, but I can't use sarcasm. Even when
yeah, that's one of the biggest ones. This communication thing.
Yeah.
Remember yesterday? With Alexis.
Oh yeah, because is not an answer. That's what the teacher was saying to her. She can't answer with just to say yes or no.
This is why I already said I don't know what I'm gonna do. When I have a child,
You'll be there every minute like that was.
I can't take this rubbish. To be telling my child, oh no, you're not answering correctly because you didn't say yes or no. I just be saying, is every single other child in that class doing the same thing? So if they're not, stop talking. And it's
I just think that's ridiculous. Every culture, language, whatever, is
Yeah. You see, and that's what I mean. And the thing is, we actually use that a lot.
Yeah.
But we, of course we do, because also it's part of our nature, it's the way we
Yeah.
communicate. Now, maybe white English, white British people, they have a different style of communicating to an extent. But here's the thing, you know,
I'm gonna keep noticing it.
they only seem to want to have it on their version,
Yeah,
you know, on their terms. So for instance, like yesterday, we sat in the car, myself, Angelica, and my granddaughter Alexis. So I just said, oh, okay. So I said, when I say, all of us, we know what that means. And if I say, you all know what that and oh. Now, okay, maybe some Americans might not get what we're saying, but Caribbeans, we all know what all of those mean.
Yeah.
They all mean something different.
Yep.
You know, including I said all of them are sound, they all mean something different.
Yeah.
It's part of our communicate. No, you're not allowed to communicate like that. It's not not allowed.
If you kiss your teeth, why are you kissing me? I remember that at school, right? Oh, you kiss that. They tried to say to mum that I kissed my teeth.
They decided that it was
It
rude.
weren't at the teacher.
Yeah.
They decided that it's rude because it was only really black people that was
That-
Well,
yeah.
of course,
Yeah,
of course.
so because they don't understand it, it's construed as rude.
Yeah.
Because it isn't only
It's
used.
not only
It isn't only used in the sense of being rude. It's used
for anything.
in frustration.
That's
in
what I
many
boredom,
different
that
things.
issue we were
I'll
having
just
the
come
other
down the
day.
stairs and be like,
This is simple things. You could be looking for your pencil
And you can't find it.
in your bag.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
where's the pencil?
Yeah, and you've done that to me. Why?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. And I'm
But
like,
that's what they did to Alexis.
That's exactly what they did
That's
to her.
exactly what they did to her.
She was busy searching for something.
In her
My
pencil
granddaughter's
case.
busy in her pencil case, which has the whole world inside of it.
yeah.
So she's busy in there searching for something, and of course that's also part of it because now the teacher is giving an instruction
Yeah. She's
and
not
telling
doing it.
people to hurry up.
She's
And I
doing
know
it.
exactly what was going on. She's heard, but she's also busy trying to find what she needs. Because the teacher saying, hurry up and bring out these things. And Alexis is frustratingly looking and then is going, or whatever it was, the teacher now just giving her a correction, you're doing that to me personally. And that wouldn't be the case.
Of course not.
It wouldn't be the case. We challenged it yesterday and said, okay, well, when she has a chance to speak with the mentor, let's see where it goes after that. But the correction has already happened,
Yeah.
you see, and the teacher feels justified that she should punish her because she's not communicating with her in the way that she wants or expects.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
rubbish.
this is part of the issue, that it's those type of things that are continued on.
Because she wasn't actually communicating with her at all. This is what I mean, and this is the things that you're
Forced to. It's like you're forced to speak a certain way, act a certain way. You're not allowed to say what you truly
Yes,
think.
Marissa, for that.
No, you're not allowed to say what you truly think. Because you're not
But
allowed.
that's it.
And they always come in, you're not allowed to say that.
And because
You
that's
say
we
that, but
touched
that's
on
not
that
what they're saying.
at the meeting with them.
What?
Because that's why she never said that she needed to vote.
Mm.
Because she already feels like they're not going to believe her. or-
They're not
Yeah,
listening.
You know what I mean?
And you see, this is all
They're
part and
dismissing
parcel of
Yeah.
of this kind of view and mentality that view people, you know, and that's, even if it's not said plainly, there's a treatment and an
Yeah,
attitude that comes behind it,
Yeah.
which then you know that's what they're sort of saying,
Yeah.
and it's a continuous undermining.
Yeah.
You know, even yesterday as an example
Oh,
again, I've gone to the
That same
school.
one about the trees.
I've gone to the school and I've gone a little bit early. What's that? Oh yeah, we promote diversity and equality in schools and workplace. Well, you see, even all of that, I have a problem with all of that anyway, this so-called diversity and equality. You see, because what is it that you're actually saying when you're saying that?
They're not saying that.
And that's why I tell them I don't really want to hear that. If you're telling me that you're going to learn how to treat black people properly, then you say that and let me see that. But diversity and equality, damn it, you know, because it doesn't mean anything to me. You know, it's just you ticking boxes. And this is the problem, because they don't have no manners. But when they don't have any manners, it's okay.
Right.
And this is the issue, you see, because like now, yesterday I went to the school, I'd gone early, so I sat in the car park. School was actually over, but we were going to have the meeting slightly after. So I sat in my car, and my granddaughter had seen me. So I waved to her because she didn't see me at first. I waved to her and I called her and told her, come in. So she's on her way. There's a teacher standing behind my car who I haven't seen. Now, when I've called my granddaughter, all of a sudden now the teacher pipes up, Alexis, go on the path and go round. So I said, where's that coming from? Then I look behind the car and I've seen the teacher there at the back behind the car. So I just looked around again at Alexis and I said, Alexis, come here now. And when she came to me, I said, what's wrong with her? And Alexis, of course, hasn't got an answer. She doesn't know what's wrong with her. So then the teacher is telling me, we actually normally want the children to walk around on the path, because we don't want them to come across on the road and blah, blah, blah. I just looked at her. Right? Because she's going home. Had I not called her to come to me, she would have been walking out completely of the school and going home anyway.
Yeah.
But now that woman had to put herself in there as if to say, no, whether you're her grandfather or who you are, let me undermine you because I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
You see? And it's all these type of things that they have like a one-sided, and now some people will turn around and say, oh, but no, that's not a colour thing. You're getting into yourself there. You're getting in your feelings. No, I'm not. Because this is why I'm saying I've experienced this 51 years plus. So I think I know. She's experienced it 22 years plus. And how much more. So, I can't remember your age.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? And we've all got stories to say. Yeah. And too many of the stories are too similar.
They're too similar.
Because I'm looking and thinking.
Nothing ain't really changed.
And you see,
the scenarios are just different.
People will turn around and say, oh, no, I think you're going a bit too far. Because if I say, oh, this was a white granddad who called his grandchild, that teacher would have shut her mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But she feels like she has to undermine me. Right? But she forgot that I don't take that. I don't play like that. So which is why I told Alexis, you come here immediately. Never mind what she said. I'm standing right there.
End of school.
She's my grandchild and I'm standing right there watching her. So what? I'm stupid now. This stupid black man is calling her to get hit by a non-existent car. First of all, it's a school car park inside, internal car park. There's no cars running around there anyway. You see, but it's all about control.
Yeah, that's it.
You see, and now you tell me, even as it is now, these my daughters, they can tell you if I'm lying. Until the day my father died, I have never answered him with what. It doesn't come out of my mouth. English white people, it doesn't matter whether they're 2 inches high, they're turning to their parents. Wow.
And I can't stand it.
Wow.
I really can't stand it.
Me? No, sir.
I do that to anybody. No, it's like, in my family and all who's older than me, I always say yes or yes followed by the name.
Yeah. And
Alexis gets the what, and that's after she's drilling me up. Like, what?
And they're telling you about manners.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And my kids, they know, because if I call them and they forget and they answer with what or I just carry on calling them.
If I'm absent-minded, I'm like, then I'm not hearing any response. I'm like, yes, Dad.
Because I'll just keep quiet or I'll carry on calling them like they haven't heard me. You see? But we don't know anything about manners, do we? And it's all these little things.
Yes, because she's around them people.
Of course, but it's these little things, little by little, that keep on eroding at you.
Yeah.
So they're making you second guess yourself.
Yeah.
And this,
all the time, things would happen. Like something could happen in class, or somebody could say something in class that's like some little racist comment. And then when you're getting vexed, then they're kicking me out.
When you get vexed, then
then they'd kick me out, and then they'd be saying, is everything all right at home? and all this rubbish. Why is something got to be wrong at home? Because I'm vexed at school.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, they look.
Because for you, there has to be something
Yeah,
wrong.
because
Yeah.
even I'll tell you a
And that's
scenario
racism in itself,
exactly of
because
that.
they've convinced themselves that there's
Every-
always violence going
Or
on in the
something
black household.
going on in the black household, that's always bad.
Yeah.
One girl that we went to school with, there was this teacher, I'm not going to say his name, but there was this teacher, and he used to always give out these, same as like what Alexis gets,
Corrections.
Yeah, so when you get 2 in a day, then you get the detention. So he used to always give out these corrections, yeah, they were called PCs, poor choice or whatever. So you could do the smallest thing, and he'd be there giving out the PC. The boys now, the white boys in the class and that, they would be doing all kinds of things, singing while he's talking, going on their phone, even calling him names. Oh yeah, shut up, sir, and all of this, and he ain't doing jack.
Yeah, yeah.
My girl, what did she do? Oh, she threw her pen. She threw her pen to someone, and he was there. Oh, why are you throwing a pen? Because obviously he was in a bad mood this day. Then he's there. Oh, stop throwing the pens. That's a PC, and giving her the PC. So she said, nah. She said no. She said, what rubbish? What am I getting a PC for? That's foolishness. Then he's there, oh, second PC and getting a detention. So she said, oh, really? She said, you love to get trigger happy with your little pen, giving out the PCs when it's this, but then when other people are calling you beep and all kind of other things, oh, nothing's happening. So she was shouting at him, and then she got sent off, to the office and all
Now
that.
she's being aggressive.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then my maths teacher was like to me, is she all right? Or something like that. He said to me like, oh, is she all right? Is everything all right? And I said, what are you talking about? Then he said, oh, because of the way she reacted. I said, there ain't nothing wrong with it. I said, that teacher tried it. So he got told. Simple as that. And my teacher was all right. So he was like, yeah, I can understand. Once I explained to him the situation, he said, yeah, he understands now why she grew up. Because he taught her the year before. And he was saying, I've never seen her.
So that's what he meant, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, like what's going on? I've never seen her react like this. But of course, that teacher knows, oh, she's violent and she doesn't apologize to him for the way that she acted and all this stuff. But he doesn't need to apologize for doing that to her when he's not telling off other children in the classroom doing similar or worse. Tell me how that makes any sense.
Yep.
It doesn't. And that used to be the norm for me. I'm telling you, I used to breathe. Just had to breathe wrong.
And
Get
you're
out.
that's the problem.
Yeah. I'd be like, get out. And I'd be like, what? Get out.
Because you're
And all of this.
Again, the communication.
Communication.
Yes.
Can't even
And
breathe
whichever
express
way
your
you,
individuality.
of course, and the problem you see for black children, black people, then whatever you want to say, whichever style you choose, you're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because I remember that from school in my day, it was one or the other. We'd either decide, so when the teacher is there screaming, shouting, carrying on, and some of them, to be fair, and I'm not really lying, their breath did smell.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
and
then
they're always the ones that want to get in your
Right?
face.
And they're there trying to scream in your nose, So me, I'd be just like giving it like that because I don't want them,
Yeah.
and they're trying to shout in your face.
You must look
So
at
then they're
them.
telling you, oh, now you're rude because you're not looking at them. So then me, because I know I've always had very expressive eyes. So then now when they tell me to look at them,
Pass them down to every child.
Of course, their minds pass out, isn't it? I would then be looking at them and looking at them properly.
Yeah.
Right? So then that would be the next problem that I'm now staring them out.
Yeah.
So whichever way it went, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
These were all the things I can remember. They had this report card business.
Oh, you get me started on that rubbish.
So I noticed now that some of the classes I went to, because usually what happens when you go into the class, you must hand the report card in
Yeah.
to the teacher at the beginning of the class.
Take it over to be signed.
I see some of the teachers, they're already writing it before I've even put my bottom on the chair.
I had to get involved because they remember they tried to do that to that guy.
Mm.
And I had to tell the teacher, and then there was some, remember you had some meeting.
Yeah.
They did that to me.
Because, and imagine, Zakai is how old now? 19,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking all those years ago, and if you take his age off mine, that's the difference of what we're talking. They did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
And Zakai was in school all those years later, and they're still doing the same
Yeah,
thing.
same thing. And they've
Before,
already put Alexis on that report.
before the child has even sat down, they're already writing whatever
Yeah.
they're writing. And I used to say, hang on a minute. So then I told them, I said, you know what? I said, I don't care what you say. I said, any of those classes where I see, I was very rude, according to them anyway. And listen, it's not rude because I'm still the same person until today.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
born to be a speaker, right? So from day one, I have been a speaker with a big microphone voice, right? And that's what they didn't like. So from day one, I challenged them. I said, listen, I said, any class I go and where they're already writing that report before I sit down, I'm not carrying it in there again.
You already know.
I said, those classes, you're going to see blank.
Mhm.
I said,
Right?
I'm not giving it to you at the beginning of the class.
I said, I'm not giving it
I'll
to
give
them.
it to you at the end.
I'll give it to them at the end. I
I'll
said,
get
I'm
the
not going to do it.
laptop so then the class is removed.
Yeah, but when I saw that on Zakai's report card, that's why you got in trouble as well, because
Yeah.
I screwed it out. Because the teacher was there, right? So then when I got it and I saw, I said, give me the report. I said, nah,
Yeah.
like that on the thing.
Now,
Because why have you got to do
imagine,
that?
I didn't tell them to do that, so don't be pointing fingers at me. Right? And say it wasn't me. I didn't tell them. Although if they'd have asked me, I probably would have done. But you know, the thing is that the sad part about all of this is that generationally we're from different generations, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay? And yet still we're speaking the same thing.
Yeah.
My granddaughter, if she was here and we're speaking on her behalf to an extent, she's going to be telling me the same type of things.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that we have, that then people are jumping up and down, they're mashing up cars, they're burning down buildings, bringing down statues, you know, and all these different things. Black Lives Matter, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just
Well, we
looking,
actually didn't ask
you know,
you to do any.
But that's what I'm
and
saying.
I'm looking at the practicalities and saying, hang on a minute, what's really changing? I remember I was at work, working on a ward, a mental health ward, which is quite a difficult environment as it is already. So I'm on the ward, and this nurse, who I don't think even is, well, anyway, she's in her 20s. She's 20 something, like maybe 25, you know, like that. So to me, she's a picnic. I was standing at the doorway of the kitchen, drinking a cup of coffee. So I'm standing in the doorway of the kitchen, but I'm out, so I can see up and down the corridor. I can still see what the patients are doing, and I've just held the cup of coffee at the kitchen behind me because it's a hot cup of coffee, and I don't want to bring it out onto the corridor, so I've just stood it there. So if anything kicked off, all I would have had to do is put down the cup on the side, close up the kitchen door, and go to wherever I need to go to, which is the normal thing. So she's all the way down the other end of the corridor, and she's looking. So she shouts at me up the corridor in front of all the patients, put that cup away in the kitchen, and why are you standing there like that? That's not where you should be standing, and all of this. Now you see, I almost answered her straight away, you know. And I looked at her and I said, okay. I just said no, because me, I'm bigger than that, right? But today you're going to learn. So I just put down the cup, I locked the kitchen door, and I just waited like 3 minutes because I had to just bring down the steam. Then I walked down to where she was. She was in the clinic room. So I walked into the clinic room and I locked us in. So just me and her in the clinic room. I said, now I need to tell you this. I said, don't ever, as long as you live, speak to me like that again. I said, I do not care whether you're the nurse in charge or not, and you feel like I'm nobody because on this ward I'm not a nurse. I said, don't disrespect me, I'm a big man, right? I said that there is no need. I said, you speak to me better than that or don't speak to me at all. I said, and I'm not going to tell you that again. I said, I don't have really even an issue with what you said, but you don't speak to me like that and you don't do it like that. I said, you've gone to school and you've learned to be a nurse, but you don't learn any manners in there. You didn't, and you didn't learn anything about management. Don't try me again. And I just walked out and left her there like that. And believe you me, as God is my witness, you didn't try me again after that. Never again. But now, according to them, you see, now if I'd added anything on top of that and said, oh, you think you can speak to a black man like a fool and an idiot? No, it's nothing to do with being black. No, because, no, I'm just telling you because I'm the nurse in charge and I needed to tell you, no. I'm telling you now that all of these things are related to this. Why do I say that? Let me tell you why I'm even saying that. On that same ward where I was working at that time, the consultant psychiatrist is a black African, Nigerian guy, and his hair is wild, right? He's not like dreadlocks exactly, but what he's done, he's twisted it and left it wild, so it's like, you know, all like this. So I watched them one day. They were in the office talking, and they didn't notice when I came in behind them. And it's all white staff in there talking, and they're talking about the consultant psychiatrist. The consultant psychiatrist is in charge of the ward. Yeah. It is his ward, whether he's on the ward or not. He's in charge of everybody. He's in charge of every other doctor, every nurse, every support worker. Everybody is answerable to him. So the consultant psychiatrist for that ward was a black Nigerian man. Right? So they didn't like that. So they're busy talking about him. He thinks he's special and he thinks he's God. He likes to just be giving out orders and I don't know what and what. And this is how they were talking like that. Right? That's his job. So I just let them finish what they were talking and then I just cleared my throat and I said, really? I said, is that what you think? I said, or is it because he's black and you have a problem there? And they're all just looking at me with their eyes because they couldn't answer. And first of all, they couldn't believe that I asked them that question. But you see, this was an issue. They just couldn't be happy that he was the consultant psychiatrist. They couldn't stand him. Yeah. They couldn't stand him. You know, I worked in another place where the consultant forensic psychiatrist there was a black woman who had come to take the post interim from London. I don't like her. I find her arrogant. This is staff now. I think she's rude. I think she's unapproachable. And I asked her, which part of her is unapproachable? I said, because she came in to do her job. I said, you don't have to be friendly with her. I said, all you have to do is work. I said, she dresses nicely. She speaks to people the right way that she's supposed to. I said, what are you trying to approach? I said, she's married. So what are you trying to approach on her? They're just looking at me. You see? And this is the thing, that if we don't speak the reality about these things, because it starts from school. But Dr. Palouse, it wasn't Dr. Palouse who was rude to me, Sarah. And I don't know why you're putting names on there anyway, and good you spelled it wrong. But it wasn't him. It wasn't him, it was another doctor. But me, I don't play with them. I don't play with them whatsoever because they don't think well, you know, I wonder how somebody can tell you something that you know. She wasn't there, so how can she tell me what I know? It wasn't Dr. Palouse. So
she wants it to be Dr.
I know, because that's what she put, but it wasn't Dr. Palouse. It wasn't. It wasn't Dr. Palouse. I can give you the name, but I don't wish to put the man's name out here.
No,
You know, I know exactly who the guy was. As soon as I'm thinking of him,
yeah, you
I know who he was.
Yeah.
And I had to warn him as well, right? And he was an Asian, and that's another reverse psychology of racism anyway. And what happened with him? This particular doctor, there's an airlock in the ward, so you open one door, and the other one closed, and then you're in the middle. Then the other one will open and you go out, so that it means that people behind you can't get through.
Yeah.
So I've opened to let him through. So he just walked past me, no thank you, no nothing. So I blocked him so that he couldn't go through and let that door close. And I stopped him. I said, "Hey," I said, "what's your problem?" And he's looking at me like that. I said, "Listen," I said, "just because you're a doctor does not give you the right to be rude. And a thank you is quite appropriate." I said, "and don't think that you will pass me again where I've opened the door and you're going to do that. Because me, I don't accept it. I don't care what your position is. Don't do it again." Yeah, but I've just said who it was. I've just said it was not Dr. Panous. And I've just mentioned the scenario, haven't I, about the door? But the name she has put is wrong. It was not Dr. Panous, Sarah. So allow it. All right? Leave it. I've just mentioned the whole scenario, but I'm not giving people the name of the doctor. And it was not Panous. I've just talked about it.
I don't even know why she's trying to put the name.
Yeah, because but also don't put anybody's name there. Just allow it. You know, and plus because all of this is being posted there and left there. You know, I already just mentioned it, but I'm not mentioning the name. So allow it. But you know, my point anyway is that no matter which way you're looking at it, when you ask that question, you know, in terms of the generations, has yeah, it might as well have been.
Yeah.
After all this time, how much has really changed?
She's saying to us, stop putting the names in it.
You know, you have to wonder. Has it changed that much?
No.
Because, you know, go on.
I think it's not that it hasn't, it's not that it's changed. Well, it has changed, but it's like they've found a new road. You know what I mean? It's like their road. No. It's like the road of telling people they're black bastard and blah blah. That one's been blocked off a bit.
Mm.
So now they go down the next one too. You know, when you're at the supermarket, that you're telling them excuse me, and they're pretending like they can't hear you, and all them kind of things like that. Or they think that they can then push you in front of the line, and you're not, you're non-existent.
You're not there. You don't exist.
They're just. And you know how many times I just tell one that
little microaggressions.
Yeah, them little. That's exactly what it is.
I ID you for the one bottle of wine with the week shopping.
Yeah. And all these kinds of things. Yeah. Or what was it? Where did I went to? I was at.
I'm shopping with my child. When I'm shopping with Alexis, you can see that she's a certain age.
Exactly.
So therefore, she's calling me mum. Why on earth are you trying to ID me for anything?
Because how is it possible? And I keep saying this thing. It's like
Yeah, because you look 21.
Which is what I mean, right? Where did I? Yeah, I was getting I think it was an energy drink or something like that. Yeah. Then they're telling me about I must provide ID, and I said, "What are you talking about?" Then the woman said, "Yes, you must provide ID. That's the law now."
So they're saying that you look under 16.
That's what I had to say.
I would just be telling you must keep your drink.
About? I said,
do what that Asian man done, fill out the coin and walk out.
I said, really? I said, really? I said, so you really feel that you need to see my ID or energy drink? She said, yes, because it's the law. I said, all right. So I just showed her it like that. Then she's there reading it hard as well, which I don't.
They want to see the name and all them things as well. That's what I think.
Then she's there. reading it hard like this, then say, oh, you're 20. This is when I was only 20. Oh, I apologize. I said, give back my ID. I said, then don't be IDing me in this shop again, because I don't want the rubbish. I said, I do not look under 16. So do not try to ever say that to me like I look like some sort of child. I said, am I in a school uniform? No, I'm not.
It's out of order.
But you see,
Jealousy because we don't age.
but it's not just that. Again, it's a case of, like, I would say that to a certain extent it's antagonism.
Of course it is.
You see, because
They
there are
want to
certain,
see how you're going to react.
exactly,
They're trying to piss you off.
and there's certain things that happen to some that don't happen to others. You see, because, for instance, the age-old one that we all know, you go into a shop,
And they follow you.
right, and then they're there peeping. It happened not just TK Maxx. I went in TK Maxx with Sarah, and we've gone over. And by then it was sort of like in lockdown time, so you know the things are a bit wide apart, spread out, or whatever you want to call them. So we've gone looking at these cushions. And me, I'm very, very observant. So I've noticed out of the corner of my eye that somebody has arrived at the corner, you know, and is going like that. So Sarah is busy chatting as usual, blah, 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 and she's on Planet Zod. So she's not seeing, you know. So I've turned around and I've looked at this person who's there peeping and said, oh, somebody over there peeping. What's wrong with them? So somebody's peeping. So I've said, oh. So then I stopped what I'm doing and turned around and started looking at this person. You guys are disturbing me. Can you shut up? Because you're talking almost as loud as me. It's not necessary, is it? So I've looked at this person who's peeping and I've stopped and I've asked them from where I am, can I help you? Because you're peeping at me, what are you peeping for? And when I've looked around again and then looked back, all of a sudden they've gone and disappeared to the other side of the aisle, round the other corner, peep from the other side. So I stopped completely and said, oh, if you want to see, why don't you come and look? I said, if you think I haven't got money to buy anything, I said, come closer and see whether I'm going to steal anything or not. I said, because I'm going to take one of these cushions and put it up my cardigan, you know, and walk out of the shop with it, isn't it? Then all of a sudden they've gone back downstairs. Now, you tell me as many times you like, but the average white people going in, they don't get that.
They're not having that.
It doesn't happen.
I already told you.
It doesn't happen.
About what happened when I was in Italy and went to that Chinese shop. And the Chinese person is there because I'm looking at the person is there, and because she couldn't see what I was doing, then decided that she had to come from behind the desk to come in front to look to see what I'm doing. And when I saw that she was doing that, I just put the purse down and walked away. Then suddenly, she's not following now. She can go back behind her desk because now she can see clearly again because I'm not in that certain position. Yeah, and it's the thing.
You're trying to tell other people about everything. So like, now you're just being extra.
You're just being paranoid.
But that's because they don't experience those things. So therefore, you have no idea what you're talking about. Of course. It's a feeling, it's a sense, and you know.
And you just know that they're going to be looking. And when you look around, they're looking.
They're looking, or they're,
you know.
Or they try to. When I was running at M&S, did I ask for help?
Racist, and they're thinking, oh well, I've never realised or noticed. The
manager.
Yeah. And who was saying that?
Well, other white colleagues.
Other white colleagues, of
I'm
course.
like, well, obviously you wouldn't, because you're never going to experience it. I'm telling you what I know, and it was a fact.
Yeah, because of course you know. Because it's the same thing, isn't it?
It is a fact. And you know that manager, she refused to give me the positive feedback from the customers.
Yeah, of course she wouldn't.
Yeah, because it was other colleagues that said to me. One of them came up to me one time and was like, oh, she, I mean, said her name then. Did she tell you what the customer said? I was like, no. Yeah. So that means that all the time she was never giving me the positive feedback from the customers. And I know there was a lot, because I was good at that job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter to them.
No,
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 it never does.
And they
Realise
tend to always look for the problem.
Yes,
So
Oh,
the
yeah.
day that they find the problem,
Yeah.
that is it.
every other piece of work that you did, which was
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter
Yeah,
anymore.
it's irrelevant.
Now they have found the problem, and that's what they stay on.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
So that was like when I worked at,
I dashed that.
I worked at this, let's just say a call center, I'm not gonna say the name. I worked at a call center. I'm sure a
Same
lot of
one that I
people,
did.
yeah. I'm sure a lot of people in Leeds probably know what call center I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Anyway, so I worked at this call center and we had, when we were in training, we had a different manager.
Did you work there too?
I don't know if it was the same one.
It might be
Might
a
be.
similar place. Yeah, you had a different manager when you were doing your training to when you started.
That's
right?
right,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
they do that.
So when I
So
was
annoying.
doing my training, I had this manager and he was nice and he was,
That's
you
usually
know,
how
he
it
was
works.
casual and, you know, he
When
wasn't,
you get
but he
put
was
on the
still,
floor,
but he still
it's
kept
driving.
on that, you know, you had to be doing your job.
Do
good,
your stuff.
yeah. So he used to give us weekly reviews. So he said, look, this was your best call this week. This is what the person said when they gave their review. This is your worst call. What do you think you can improve, etc.
Yeah.
And he'd always like say, oh yeah, you've done well this week. You've got this and that. You know, customers are giving a good review back, stuff like that. Now, when the manager role changed, I got given this woman, right? This English woman, and she was only a little bit older than me. And she was annoying. When I mean annoying, I mean annoying. And she used to like, it was like she was handpicking who could work there and who could not. There was one guy, and he wasn't that good at his job. Yeah. No, he was Asian, Nick. He wasn't that good at his job. Because in my team, there was quite a few Asian people.
There is a lot of Asians in the call
Yeah.
centers, though.
Mhm. And he was quite good. He wasn't that good at his job, but if she gave him a bit of support, he could have worked on it and he would have been all right. But her, no, I'm over, because I used to sit near their desk, you know, the manager's desk. So I'm overhearing, you know, of course, you have to pretend you're doing work, but really you're just listening in, yeah. Oh, yeah, and now we've got to this point. And all these are the things that yeah, he's rubbish and all of this, and the most awful worker I've ever known. And now he's still here. How did he even get through the training? And all this type of horrible stuff. You're saying all this, and then the next day she's called in.
Training's quite intense.
Yeah, it is hard actually. I couldn't believe that. Yeah, so then she's called him, and then we're not seeing him again. So she's fired him off. Yeah, cut him off and fired him off. Then another person. This is all in the first week that she came back, right? Because she went on holiday or something for a week, and we didn't have no manager. And then when she's come back, now she's sacking everyone up. Yeah, chopped off some next person. Oh, because apparently he worked there before and actually got terminated, but he never got terminated. And he told them that he never got terminated. Yeah, but
Well,
then
obviously
they're
he couldn't have, otherwise he wouldn't have been back there. anyway.
Exactly, because that's what he said. He said, if I got terminated, wouldn't they have seen this
Yeah,
already?
not allowed him back.
Exactly. Then it was then no, that he couldn't come back, and then even embarrassing him to the point they're escorting him out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and all this stuff, and he was shaking because he was so embarrassed. I felt sorry for him, and that's other people. Then me now, every morning. Oh, hi Taylor, morning. Yeah, and I'd just be like, oh, good morning. You know,
Yeah, 'cause they want you to be all
Then-
fake and extra
yeah.
like them.
Then I've noticed when I do that, she'd be like she'd do like this little face, and I'd just ignore her and go and sit down. So then one morning, right, there was managers above her, yeah, and she used to chat up to them because, of course, that's how she was a manager anyway. Because in them places, that's how it works. You know what I mean? If you're their people, you're gonna get the job.
Yeah.
So she, So she was there working, chatting to the little top managers, and already these people were annoying. So I remember one of the top managers was like, why are we laughing and not doing our work? Or something like that when we were training. And she never said it to the white people. She said it only to me and there was two other black people with me, a black boy and my friend who's a black girl. She only said it to us. She weren't saying it to no one else. Other people are chatting. She's busy on her computer and eating her bread. Yeah. So then this day in the morning, we've come in now, and then I've been walking in, and of course she's done the same. Right? Hi, Tamer. Oh, you're right. Yeah, but I've heard her before she said that. She's been like, oh, watch what she does. Yeah. So then I've gone, oh, good morning, like that, and then turned, and then she's there. Yeah, saying something to the manager. And I just thought, what is your problem? Then every minute, oh, I must come to chat to her about this and that. I must come to her desk. Oh, when you finished up with that call, can you come to my desk, please? So I did that. I've gone to put my computer in like a pause mode, yeah. But then as I've done that, a call has like came through at the same time as I pressed pause.
And you've got to take the call.
Yeah. So
That's the policy.
So then, but this is the thing, they never told me that. So I said, oh, there's a call come. She said, oh, just pause it. I said, oh, what do I do? Just pause it. So I paused it.
So she's already giving you the incorrect information to try and use it against you.
So I said, pause. So I said, oh yeah, do I need to do it? No, just pause it and come straight to me. Don't worry about any calls or anything. It's fine, just pause it. So I've done that, and then like some calls obviously come through. So I've been like, and paused it again, and then she's been there. What did you just do? And I was like, I just paused it. And she said, why didn't you take the call? And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, why didn't you take the call? I said,
just take
you just told. This is what I mean. I said that you just told me to come to the desk, so that's why I'm pausing the thing. So quite obviously, if you never called me to come to the desk, I can take the call, wouldn't I? And she said, no, that's classed as call avoiding, and I'll have to be writing a disciplinary for you now. So then she's gone, she said, oh, just stay sat there and carry on with your calls, and I'll call you later. So she called me later on. Yeah, and then been like, oh, I hope you didn't avoid another call while you were coming over here. I just was like, I just didn't say nothing because I thought I just want to strangle you. Then she's there. What did she say? Yeah, then she printed out some sheet. Oh, you must sign here and you must write this on here to say that you accept this disciplinary and blah, 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 blah. That's what I said to her. I said, is there a choice? And she was like, well, no, because I saw you do it. So there's no discussion to be had. You avoided the call, and that's classed as call avoiding, which is the first disciplinary, and you need to write. It needs to be written down on your thing. And this is the rubbish that she's talking. And then she'd even make me. She'd be there. Oh, can you turn your screen? And all of this so that she could see my screen from where she sat. I didn't hear her saying these things to other people. It was always to me. Yeah, and she never failed. Everybody else, she's telling them her life stories and how she's going on holiday with her boyfriend and how she's pregnant and all these kind of crusty, dry things, yeah, but then means she can't even have a normal conversation. It was always a problem to have a conversation with me, and I was not rude. Because why would I be rude? I'm at work. You know what I mean? This is it. But no, the same rubbish every
They
time.
don't know how to communicate with us, everything we do, they say.
Yeah, this is the thing. That everything I did to her, quite obviously to her, I was obviously some sort of rude person who didn't want to interact.
And I think for us in particular, because we're so plain, it's always
That's the thing. Because the thing is, if somebody is trying it, I'm not going to entertain you.
But that's it.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're
That's
there,
where the problem
good
starts.
morning, and I'm just
Because
like, morning.
they don't want that.
Yeah, and they're saying I'm not entertaining their rubbish, and then it's what's their problem? Yeah.
And
And you know the rubbish that they used to say to me? Oh, your voice. They used to always tell me my voice. There's something wrong with it. Oh, it's too monotone, and you need to be more lively and all of this rubbish.
Because you're
And
not
I kept telling them.
cheese off like
Do you know how many times I actually said to I said to my manager, I said, do you know what? I said, I want to speak to someone else about this. And then she's like, why? I said, because I'm tired of hearing the same thing every time. Oh, your voice is too monotone and you're not putting enough emotion into it. What do you want me to be doing on the phone? I said to him, do you want me to be singing on there or something? I'm not really getting it. Because when I'm saying, oh, hi, hello,
Upbeat,
welcome.
like how
I
she gives you
think,
that
I think partly that's to do also with the fact that we're in the north here,
Yeah,
and when they speak here, the Yorkshire vernacular, they
Yeah.
sing,
There's
yeah.
a lot more singing.
you know, and we do not.
Yeah, exactly.
So we sound different
Yeah.
than them anyway,
Yeah.
which I guess they think that it sounds more flat or
Yeah,
whatever. You know, because
Yeah.
we don't sing.
exactly. Because if I'm saying good evening, welcome to blah, what's wrong with that? How
I
is
just
that
think that
rushing?
she was just doing that purposely to you.
You know,
Yeah,
With
but,
them customer service jobs I've had, being able to speak proper English has always helped.
Yeah, but
but,
for
it,
me,
but it does anyway, because when you actually, you know, when you're on the phone a lot, as you know, when you hear some of those customers,
Yeah.
with all the variety of
Yes.
regional
Accents.
accents around the UK, you know that it's a serious struggle.
yeah.
Especially anytime I see anything Scottish on there,
Oh,
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Them
Yeah,
Scottish,
some of them it's a bit like,
customers. And the thing is, them Scottish customers used to come on. I remember this one man came on the phone, and he's, yeah, because I got this problem with my phone, and and I'm gonna pass you on to my son now because he's better at explaining. And I thought, so I had to just be like, yeah, that's fine, sir. Like, you know, still keep
wasn't the son any
it.
better?
He was a bit better, but still not great because then he was using words that I didn't even know what they meant.
No, like little slang.
Yeah, like yeah. It was horrible.
Again.
Him and the Scottish and then the Scouse ones, they was like,
Oh yeah,
The Scouts.
Scouts.
Women.
Newcastle, wasn't it?
yeah, the
Mm-mm,
Scouse,
mm-mm, Scouts, Liverpool.
I was at Liverpool.
Scouse women,
Birkenhead.
Ah,
yeah,
yeah.
always the
Difficult.
Scouse women. You couldn't understand what the heck. And I'd be like, yeah, having to try and like decipher what they were saying. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, excuse me, can you speak more properly because I can't understand what you're saying.
But you see,
Without having their manners.
you see, all of that boils down to the same thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because, okay, maybe they'll say, well, it's easier for you to think like that because you've got parents or grandparents or whatever who come from Jamaica and maybe Africa and all of this, so you would listen to different accents. No, we listen because we just listen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because we're not
It doesn't
rude
matter.
and because we're not being racist.
Yeah.
You know, so, I can't hear you. I can't understand you.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
You know, and all this type. You don't do that.
They're doing all of that before even trying to
Yes.
decipher what people
This
are
is the
saying.
thing.
Oh, it sounds different. I don't want to listen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
This
it
is the
is.
thing because you even see, because it's like, if, you know, like Auntie Sarah said, if she went to my school, Lord help her, having a Jamaican accent, they would just take the mick out of her 24/7 from year 7 to year 11, unless she started brucking people up in there. That's when then they would cool it off and not do it.
But then she
even
might
if
not
you
make
tell-
it to the year 11.
Yeah, of course not, because then she might get kicked down, or she's getting in isolation.
It's
And
Which
then-
is the same.
and then if you
Sarah,
take-
it's not Sarah,
No.
Merlin.
And then if you say there's a problem, you know, if you go to school and you say, oh, they're making fun of me for the way I talk and all those things, they're not going to do nothing about it. And I know that for a fact. They'll pretend that they're doing something about it. Like, oh, yes, you know, we'll try to have a word with, that's what it said, we'll try to have a word with them and,
But
you know,
then
make
try.
them understand, but they don't even tell them
That's
that.
how come you know that they have no intention.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to, then you say you're going to. Oh, we're going to try. What does that even
What do you mean? You're trying to have a word. You're even
You're having the
exposing
word or you're
yourself
not.
in the way that you're
Yeah.
talking. You're saying you're trying to have a word. And I know for a
That's
fact,
why I
if
listen to people very
anybody had a
easily.
Jamaican accent in that school, like I said, Lord help them. Because already just being black was bad enough.
Having a southern accent.
Yeah. Why do you think you're posh? That's what people used to say to me. Why do you
Because we're speaking
why
proper
do you think
sentences
you're
and
posh?
use the word up where it belongs.
Yeah, we speak properly. But you
I'm not
see,
posh.
even all of those things, then that also becomes another issue because then it's as if they don't like if you're black and you speak well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you're black and you're too intelligent,
Yeah,
that's a problem. You're black and you're too articulate, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You've got all of them.
You you know, because they don't want you to exhibit any of those type of things,
Yeah, positivity.
you know. And now the problem with all of that is quite simple, really. That you ask the question, well, then what changes from my time in school at my age, you know, going through whatever I went through, until now my granddaughter is in school all these years later, and you know, where are we?
But you said.
I mean, okay, school is not the only place, but it's the main place that we'll be
Something
talking about.
about Alexis wasn't, what did they say? Something about she wasn't, her pronunciation was incorrect.
Oh yeah, that
or
was in
something
primary
rubbish.
school.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to
Yeah.
change her from speaking, you know, the way we do,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I guess
Like that.
is more southern,
yeah,
obviously,
more so.
and they wanted her to pronounce in a northern Yorkshire version, which no, it's not going to happen.
Of course it's not gonna happen.
We don't.
No, but the reason
no.
why I had to go
That's
and scream at them is because they were trying to make out like
Yeah, they
the
said
word
that she's got some
wasn't
problem
right
and all, yeah.
because she was pronouncing it differently. So I had to go down
Oh,
there.
her reading and
No,
all
let's
this.
not
Yeah,
let her
yeah,
run
yeah,
with
yeah.
her down reading. She's ahead of the rest of the class, so let's not even
Always
go
has
there.
been.
And always has been.
Yeah.
Always, and that's all of us.
Yeah.
Because I've always been ahead of the reading. They can never, and they used to say the same thing.
Yeah.
That's not how you say that word. And I said, well,
Yes,
that's
it
how my dad
That's
says
how
that
I
word.
talk.
Yeah, that's how mum says that word.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
what
how
they
it's-
said is right. My dad said that's how it's said.
Yeah.
Simple as
Yeah,
that.
because we're not northerners.
No.
See, I didn't have that so much because I went to school down south.
Yeah, a bit further down.
So it was easier for you, yeah.
But,
But here, oh Lord.
Yeah, of course.
all
But you
the time.
see now all of that, they will just say, well, that's just coincidental. It's not one thing or the other. But
It's not-
you know,
Part and parcel.
of course
But
it
then
is.
that's the same as when those white colleagues are telling me, oh, well, I've never noticed that about her.
Yeah.
Well, why the hell would you?
Mhm.
You're never going to experience it. It's not going to do it to you.
And this is the thing. They try to tell you, well, I haven't had that problem, or I've never seen the teacher doing that, or I don't think that they're like that, but you wouldn't think that because
And I
you
didn't ask
don't
you what you thought.
experience the same situation. So certain situations are never going to be experienced in the same light. Same like, what was I saying to you the other day? So when I was on the phone, when you rang me to tell me about what happened to Alexis, I was at my friend's house. And then remember, we stared talking about
Yeah.
school.
And
We
we've
were
all
speaking
got the
about
same
exactly these
experiences.
things, school and the racist things that used to happen.
Mm.
And what's it called? I was saying about how when I was in school, and I went to school with a certain pair of shoes because my other shoes were broken and it was raining, and I wasn't about to be going to school with no wet feet. So I had these little like pumps type things, a black pump trainer type thing. And mum wrote a note saying, you know, she's gonna get a new pair of proper shoes on Friday. But until then, this is it. This is what she's wearing. So I've come to school now. What that? Why you wearing it? I ain't even hardly walked through the thing yet. Why you wearing them? What is this? Then and that. I'm showing the note. No, it's not good enough. I must change my shoes. And I'm telling them I ain't got no other shoes. So what do you want me to do? Then it's, then that teacher left me. Then later on in the day, it's come to lunchtime, and that an ex-teacher has now seen me again. Oh, what you do with them shoes? Blah, blah. Showed him the note. No, it's not good enough. I'm getting sent to the office. So now I'm getting sent to the office, and then now they're trying to ring mum and all of this. Oh, at first she weren't even answering because that's just her usual anyway. Because a lot of the time she sees the school, she's like,
She don't answer that.
shove off. So she didn't answer at first. And then I sent her, I think I sent her a text
Caller ID, you know, from their school.
to make you
Yeah.
answer. Yeah, you see. So I sent her a text to say, oh, mum, they've got me in the office. And then she rang them and was like, oh, what's going on? Why is she in the office? Then they're saying, oh, well, she's come to school with these, these shoes and they're not acceptable. And then mum's saying, what did you see the note? They're saying, oh, yes, but still,
Yes, but
it's not
why is it but?
acceptable, and she's still, your notes doesn't, like, trying to say that her notes don't mean nothing, and it's still not acceptable for me to wear them, and I must go home and put on the other shoes. And I said, well,
The
I'm
broken
not,
shoes,
yeah,
they want you
I
to
must
come
go
out
home
like-
and put on them broken shoes. And I said, well, they're broken.
They're broken, so you
Then they
can't.
said, oh, well, it doesn't matter, you just have to wear them. And I'm not
No,
getting
no.
wet feet.
You have to wear them if they're broken.
Wet feet, so they said, oh, well, Wilby said she'll have to go into home That's what they said. She could go home to collect her shoes. Bearing in mind this was lunchtime, and school finishes at 3 p.m. I used to live how far? Yeah, by the time I'm getting to that yard, I'm back. School is
So
done.
you're not going back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Mum said. Mum said, well, if you send her home now, she's not going to be coming back. And they were like, oh, well, she has to.
No, that's true.
Because actually you'll be fined
No,
if she doesn't come.
she won't, because you were there.
All this rubbish. Yeah. So she said, well, can't you just take her to go home and get the shoes and come back?
Oh my
Hear
gosh.
them? No, they
Isn't
can't
this a
do
repeat
that.
of the violin?
Yes. No, they can't do that, and it's not part of their thing. And I must just wear the proper shoes, and for the rest of the day today or whatever, I have to stay there and all this kind of rubbish. So I had to stay there until it was the end of the day. And then I remember I'm just watching the clock.
Yeah, you're in that little box by yourself.
And I wasn't even in the box because they said, oh, there's no space in isolation. So you have to just stay in the office.
Oh,
So the
no.
office
And
was
do
like
nothing.
this office here. She's there doing her work. I'm just sat on that chair just
Doing
there,
nothing.
like this, doing nothing for about 2 hours. And then it got to 3 o'clock. I said, can I go now? She said, oh, just wait a moment. For what? People are coming and collecting their bag and coat and everything, and I'm still sat there.
See now,
I just got my coat and bag and I said, right, I'm off now, bye. And I left.
I have a question, and we're going to finish soon anyway. I'm looking at the time. I don't know if some of this, like some of the things about school, because I've deliberately stayed away from one particular topic today because I want to cover it on its own, which is the police.
Oh, yeah,
I want to
that's
cover.
a
I
whole
want to
next
cover.
thing.
I want to cover that on its own, separately.
It needs to be
Which is why I've deliberately stayed away from it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk quite a lot about school and other things and a bit about work. My question about school, I wonder, is it that, because we've said like sort of the topic of what we've said was races, something, generations of racism already. So my question then is it that, or is it that they pick certain particular people to become teachers? And no disrespect, because I have some friends who are teachers, even my sister, Margaret's a teacher, but there you are. Anyway, so do they, this is the question, is it that, or is it that they pick certain types of I don't know what I want to, how you would even describe that type of character that just,
It's like even from child.
because some of the things that you're saying, I've experienced the same kind of crazy answers from teachers, and even until now, Alexa, who's in school now, she's experiencing the same crazy answers from teachers still. And so that's my question then with that one. Is it, they've got a box somewhere that's got teachers in it, and every generation they remove them from that box.
Yeah.
And anybody who doesn't fit in that box, you won't be a teacher.
No job. Yeah.
I
think that's what it is.
Yes.
Because they all seem to have a certain
certain
mindset.
criteria
Yeah.
to be a teacher.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're too soft,
Yeah, it can't work.
Too inclusive, or I don't know.
Yeah, because I think when a teacher is a nice teacher, I think that's just that they are a good teacher.
Yeah.
They're good at what
Until
they're
they let the
doing.
school system break.
Do you know what I mean? They're good at what they're doing.
Them teachers what get on with the pupils don't get on with the other teachers.
Yeah, you often
Yeah, they
see
don't.
that is true. Or they even leave after a few years. They've gone to some next school.
The
and
other
all
teachers are breaking them
or to
down.
go and do something
else. Yeah. And that's what happened with my maths
I think it's
teacher.
because they try to come forward and be there for the pupils,
Children,
and then the rest of the staff members.
No, we don't do it like that.
They're not on their same page, and they start crossing them down, and then
Because
they can't
literally, I
take it.
remember my maths teacher, he stayed until we left. And then he left.
And then he left.
As soon as we left school, he was gone, right? He came in year 9, and he taught our classes for all them years. Like, we just so happened to, we were blessed to get him every time. Yeah. Oh God, I was so blessed to get him every time, boy. Woo! For the maths, yeah. And he was a good teacher. He was good at teaching maths, yeah. Even Zachary had him, actually. And then he was like, oh yeah, you and Zachariah are just the same. But he used to like us, and he wasn't horrible to us or anything like that. Even when things used to happen in class, he would often stick up for me and things like that. You know, some little idiot would be in races or something, he'd be kicking them out and all those types of things. Yeah. But literally, as soon as we left, he was gone. He didn't even waste no time. As soon as the May, we left in May or something.
I remember you saying, yeah.
Yeah, gone.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Exactly it.
Absolutely
It's so
true.
It's so true.
Yeah, because that's why I said that that one is not really about anything to do with race.
No.
It's to do with literally, as Jen said, about them being child led, and I think the other teachers, they don't want to know because I don't know, the schooling system in a way, it's almost like Gestapo.
Yeah.
You follow this.
Yeah, you must follow this rule.
And they almost don't want to be flexible.
No.
In the sense that they're trying to say, well, okay, it's school, so we have to have everybody the same. And it's fine. I mean, this in itself would be even like another topic.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the whole point of the individuality of people, or of a child, then let's say if it's schooling, but that's where it all begins. Because irrespective of how much we want to deny or accept, what happens to you in school years and in childhood shapes a vast amount of your identity for the rest of your life, and particularly and especially unless you're able to break some of those things, because you're talking about maybe, at least in school terms, maybe up to 18 years of your life already, and then you go on from there, and they try to push you into a level of conformity, which some of it is racial based. Some of it is just what I call Gestapo based. That you must do as you're told. You must conform. Because it's the whole thing. Like now, we're coming with a vaccine. You must conform, and it's and it's always been the same thing from school days coming all the way through. You must conform. You must conform. You must conform. And then after all of that, they then turn around. You become an adult, and they tell you now think like an individual. But when you've been in school, they've never given you even 1 second of opportunity to think, to speak, or to respond like an individual. But now all of a sudden you become an adult. Why are you not being an individual?
You go to university. Oh,
be an individual.
What's this at your work? This is not. You need to be doing your own
independent work. And this is what I mean.
All them schooling years up to that point,
you never had a chance. And when you was writing your own version, they're even writing on the thing. This is 2-person bias. You need to be more, subjective and all this. If you don't remember all them things,
how can you forget?
Ah, my gosh. But that's why I said that in itself could be even a whole nother topic. Which probably, if we look at it a bit deeper, we will. Because that whole thing of being herded, and then later on they're telling you now become an individual. Some people really struggle with that.
They do.
And hence. Even this,
it's all they've ever known.
And so it's even the reason why you get some youth that join gangs and do what they do, because they don't know how to stand on their own. And they were never allowed to. And basically what would happen is, especially some of the black boys in school in particular, which is where they've had a lot of their issues, they carry a lot of negative memories from school days. Where they things we don't want to hear, all this. We don't want to hear from you. No.
When they're trying to just explain.
They're trying to explain, or they're trying to just no. We don't want to hear. And so what would happen? They'd either be, if they're one of those that was on their own, they didn't have any support, they'll struggle. Or maybe if they've got other friends, they'll form a group together.
Yeah.
They'll have a more, what would I say, a more consistent voice together, or more persistent voice together. You know, and this is the problem because then they become called a gang in whatever terms that may be viewed. Somebody like me,
groups of people of color that are gangs.
oh yeah,
Like say there's no because all the white girls chilling together, they weren't called.
they weren't called a gang.
You know what I mean? Our group, you're all intimidating. Why do you have to feel? That's what they used to say to us. So why can't we split it up a bit? Because our group is too large and we're crowded in the hallway and all this rubbish. Yeah,
It's all the same thing.
It is the same thing. That same dirty manager from the M&S about, I have this character. The hell does that even mean?
It means that you're too loud for her.
Yeah, why is that? And this is everything we must do, we must bring it down. So I'm not allowed to laugh loud. I'm not allowed to talk loud. But then when
she didn't want me there, that's what it was. I wasn't allowed to do nothing.
And this is what I'm saying. It's the same thing it's been the same thing all along, isn't it? It's like the racism now has kind of changed, where it's like, oh, we have to have you here. We accept that you live here and that you might have been born in, but you must do how we want it, and you must say what we want to say, and you must express yourself and do the things and be in society how we want. And if it's not that, then suddenly now they have the right to say the racist things or to do the racist behavior.
That is rubbish.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah, it is that. It is that, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem because when you look at where it all starts from, which, okay, like I said, we did talk a lot about school, but that's where it starts.
Yeah, because before school, I don't remember that. I don't remember anything about color or anything like that.
No, it all starts coming out in school.
Yeah.
That's where it all comes
In
from.
nursery, I remember I had friends looking like everything.
Yeah, and they're just your friends.
Yeah,
I know.
my friends.
And the thing is that if you go back, I mean, okay, you know, we've not had a huge amount of interaction with people on this one. I've seen various people coming and going, and that's cool. But if you were to go and start asking people and analysing, particularly black people, who the ones maybe who had the issue, you could get a chart and prove and show that as they've gone through school. I mean, okay, particularly in the areas where there have been more black people, you see that a vast majority of them have gravitated to start group forming.
Yeah.
And why has it happened? It's happened for two reasons. One, because they get isolated from the others, and two, because they use each other as a support network.
Yeah.
You know, if you grew up somewhere like where I did, where going to the school where I went to, where there wasn't so many blacks in there whatsoever, our network of people was just people who were like us, and it was still people who were classified as, by today's version, the minority ethnic.
Yeah.
So it would be people like, I will almost name names there, but people who are my good friends, they're Italian, they're Spanish, they're Irish. You see, so it's the same thing. And so again, this is the form of some ism, and you know which one it is. You know, that's rearing its head, because these guys are, you know, technically not classified as the English version.
Yeah.
You know, so you would still then bunch yourselves together as you know a form of support mechanism. What's she said?
Didn't know my son's friends at nursery, so I was saying, what's he look like, what colour? So I try to recognise him and say, I don't know, but it's getting
You see, and that's what I'm talking
exactly
about.
Because that's all it was. But then it's like over a period of time, it's pushed and pushed and pushed this agenda about colour. Then children begin to understand it also from the family issue, you know, because you know, and then it comes into every single thing that you do. Race, I don't even know what they call it now, that stupid form. Where are you from? Which black are you? Are you black?
Oh yeah, because you can't
what's it called? Equality,
racial equality,
something monitoring.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And again, and it isn't. You're
because if it's equal opportunities, then why are you even asking them questions? Don't
you know,
ask.
Why do we need
Don't
to know
ask.
what colour my
Take it
skin
off
is?
of the forms.
We need
Take
to
it off
know
the
my
housing
name.
forms, the banking
Yeah.
forms, all them forms, take it
Take
off.
it up, but see that they're monitoring with the different, because,
Yeah.
okay, you want to know if I'm a man or a woman, fine. I'll answer you
Yeah.
in whatever way. I'm a man or a woman or I'm a baphomet, whatever it is, and you'll get your answer.
Yeah.
See, but now they then start classifying all of this. Are you black African? Are you black Caribbean? Are you black other? Are you
Yeah.
mixed other? Are you mixed this?
Yeah.
You know, all of this
They
stuff.
don't even
Why
have, they
does
don't
it
even have
matter?
on the mix, they only have on the mix
Yeah.
thing.
Black and white.
It goes, oh, are you black, is black Caribbean, white British,
Black African.
black African, white British, nothing else. Then you have to go to the next one where it says mixed other. And then sometimes it might tell you to specify, sometimes it doesn't even tell you to specify. So
I
you
always
just
tick
have to
that
just
box.
put mixed other. Yeah, what rubbish?
No, you see,
But
it's-
if
I
you're
always think
if
it's
you're
purposely.
Chinese and I don't know, say
I just put
Irish
random
or
boxes.
something, how are you putting that in there? You can only put mixed other, but then they then assume what
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah,
But that's the problem, isn't it? Because who cares?
exactly.
I'm me.
Exactly.
But
Why
this
does it
goes
matter?
back. This goes back to what I'm saying right from the very beginning, starting from the schooling, coming all the way through the schooling. You're not allowed to be individual.
Yeah.
You see. So then this is why then they squeeze people into classified box classifications. You know, you're Jamaican. Oh, yeah. Jamaicans are like this. No. Some Jamaicans are like that, and others are not. But actually, none of that matters. You see.
That's what I mean.
And these things are the issue,
Yeah.
because however you are, you need to be what's good for you.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't come across because, like I said, that is what the racism is. You're not allowed to talk. Keep quiet.
Yeah.
You're talking. Why are you talking?
Oh yeah, I'm from Jamaica. I like Tonto.
Good for you. Why are you challenging me? You know.
People try to even, but I told you, I already told these what how it is for me. Oh, I can't be Italian and all this stuff. Like, oh, how can you be Italian?
Why not?
Because you're not. And I always
Because you're
say
not
to them,
white.
because I'm not white. Then they, that's not what I was
Yeah,
trying
it
to
is.
say. Yes,
Yes,
it is.
it is.
Yeah, and that's
Of course
why
that- of
some
course
man
it's a-
on Instagram, they're trying to tell me, oh, why do you, because I wrote a comment saying, oh, as I'm part Italian, I think I can safely say, this is not Italian, this is rubbish, yeah, because it was some little thing that they were saying, oh, Italian food. And it weren't no
They
Italian
always
food,
do
it was
them
some
things.
rubbish, yeah,
I see
some strange concoction.
And they think they know what Italians eat.
This is in no way, shape, or form Mexican.
This is what I mean.
It might be
So I
street
commented
food.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was
And then the man's commented back about, why do I feel the need? What did he say? He said, if you're really Italian, then why would you feel the need to specify that? Lying, obviously. So I just replied back and I said, I feel the need to specify what I am. I said, because weirdos like yourself try to tell me what I am and am not. I said, do not try to tell me about my own ethnicity or do you know what I mean? Who I am as a person. No response from him.
Mhm.
Of course, because he knew it was wrong.
So
Because
they put that
why
to
am I
trial, innit?
lying? I'm lying because what? My skin is brown, so I can't be Italian. Yeah, what rubbish.
Well, those who have been watching us already, they know I'm Spanish. So that's
Exactly.
it. End of discussion.
And that's it. So there'll be no more ticking that box of a black Caribbean.
No.
or black
I'll be ticking.
because I'm ticking
I'm-
other.
I'll be
because
ticking other because I don't fit
It's
any
not
of
on
them.
there.
Yeah.
I wish everybody would tick other.
I
Because
just do it on
so
purpose
that it
because
will
I don't see
give
why they
them
need to
give them
know.
nothing to talk about.
That's what I mean.
I always think
It's the
that
same
box.
thing I feel like everybody should. When people say, oh, we don't know who to vote, let everybody vote for no one.
Yeah.
And let's
But I've
see
said
what
that.
happens. Yeah.
Because
Mm.
when
they've already
see that
decided.
there's
If nobody
vote.
voted, they would still find someone and put them there.
Yeah,
How did we get that
of course
Theresa May?
Yeah.
No one
They
did vote
would.
for her.
No,
No.
they
Do you know
didn't.
what I mean?
Her
So if
party put her
nobody
in.
voted, they would do what they're doing.
Her
Stop
party-
getting involved.
Her party put her in, didn't they?
Yeah.
But where are you from? I'm from the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of nowhere, she's coming
Yeah.
there. I felt sorry for that woman.
So,
Yeah,
in conclusion, then, tell me, from 60 odd years, let's say, for our family story, your grandfather came in the 50s, late 50s, and then everybody else came in whatever fashion from there on. From 60 odd years until today, Alexis now, and then being the younger one, and we could have talked even about Adriana's boys and the stuff that they've gone through and so on and so forth, which is, they've gone through many things too. So what are we saying? All these generations later, has it become any better?
No. That's why my original statement.
It's just changed a bit.
Yeah, it's changed, but it hasn't really improved.
Yeah, because the question we asked was, has it
Has it
improved?
improved? And I'm saying no.
And I believe it hasn't improved.
No.
I believe that they are now very, very good at using different language for racism.
Yeah.
And to use a different what would I say? They use a different style and attitude for racism.
Yes, yeah.
But I do not believe that it has improved.
It's just changed form. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, Roy.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly, Roy.
It's just changed the style of how they do it.
Exactly.
Yes,
I think that's it. It's changed form. And I don't know. I mean, obviously we're closing anyway, but I'm just saying, because I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Because the problem that we have with the fact that it's changed form is that there may be some people who believe that means it's better.
Yeah.
You see? And so then things that would have been challenged, like, okay, I'm not saying that my mum's version of challenging was the best one. But remember, my mum was a country girl from Jamaica and she came here hardcore. She lived a rough life and she was a rough woman and she didn't take prisoners. And at the end of the day, it stood us in good stead because after a while, certain people also knew they couldn't play no games with us, you see. But now, years later, what we see is that then, people who feel sort of like, oh, maybe I belong here, and maybe I'm comfortable here, they allow things then to just like start overriding. But when you ask their children now who are in school and going through the system, young lads who are experiencing certain behaviours with the police and all of this, are they experiencing anything better? And are they being treated better than their white counterparts? And I think we know the answer. The answer is no, they are not. And this is the issue that maybe that's why some would say, man, that subject, I bet that's boring. It's cool. Whoever found it boring, praise the Lord. There's no problem. Because the fact still remains that,
find it boring, I want that can't relate. And that's a fact.
But that's what I'm saying. But there's some coconuts who can't relate, because they're coconuts.
They can't relate, innit?
And it's not because. You understand me? Because at the end of the day, when you look at it and you say, well, okay, you think 2020 with all this, everything, equality, diversity, policies, all these different papers that are in place, Black Lives Matter, this organization, that organization, this funding, and they're still subtly, they're still doing the same things.
Yeah, because
they're still doing the same
even
things.
This Black Lives Matter. There are people, obviously, as we already knew, there were white people that were coming and saying, what is this even about? This is rubbish. There's no racism anymore. And that's exactly where the problem is as well. Yeah, because of people that then just think, why are you not even crying? You get to go to the same schools as us. You get to go on the same bus. You get to go to the same restaurant. Yeah, ain't that enough?
No, it's not.
Yeah, and to them, that's enough.
Unfortunately,
it's not, because even though we get those things, we are still not treated the same.
But there's a lot of black people also who are agreeing with that, and are accepting that there isn't, that it's better now than it used to be, and racism is not, is not an issue or a problem. But I really think that it is.
Yeah, it is still a problem. It is.
Whether you're a Christian or not, it is. Go to the average church, and that's another story in itself. That one, we'll tackle it on its own completely, because that one is for real. But I think, personally, what I would like to talk about next is the police. Racism from and in the police. We'll talk about that next week. And yes, it's not just the dirty Metropolitan Police, they're the worst of it,
They're the
though.
worst ones,
You know,
yeah.
they're,
Everybody knows they're.
Metropolitan Police have been the worst, and I can give you whole heap of personal stories about them myself, but just in general, you know, the police force and their track record with black people is disgusting,
Yeah.
right? And that's up until now, up until 2020.
Yeah.
I know I could bring a lot of information that will keep us on here for about 4 hours with
Yeah.
that one, so I'm gonna have to be tight and decide what I want to bring or make it 2 parts.
Yeah.
You know, but we're gonna see how we go with that one. But yeah, I think next week we'll talk about racism from and within the police. You know, because it's a real thing, and well, you know,
Yeah.
it is unfortunate, but it's not stopping.
No. We
I-
touched on that before a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you did our, like, the older videos,
Mhm.
but it was a lot shorter.
Yes,
It didn't really say too much.
yeah, because it wasn't our full subject matter.
Yeah.
But you know, I want to bring some history about the behaviour of the police in the UK. You know, since black people have kind of been invited here in numbers, and look at what's gone on historically from then until now.
Yeah.
And they supposedly have improved. I can't really feel it.
No.
You know, I can't feel it. If I even speak from my own personal experience, I can't feel it. I can't. Yes, right. Look forward to the church one. Yes, I'm planning the church one. Trust me, because hey, that one is it's a serious thing. Let me not even start. But yes, next week the police. So once again, those who stayed with us, God bless.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Roy. It's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
And everybody else, God bless, and we'll see you next time. We're gone.